Awesome. Okay, so entrepreneurship in the COVID year. A couple of thoughts. I think we all have heard multiple times, right, in the past year and a half, that in China, when it comes to crisis, when it comes to be it COVID, be it a difficult year economically or food supplies or historically, right, there were so many. And by the way, I'm reading a phenomenal book on China. If you need a recommendation on a history of China, I've got a great book to share that also sets the stage for, you know, how Chinese culture has been formed and how that impacts the way people are essentially living and working right now. So in China, the attitude towards crisis is always, it is an opportunity coupled with essentially threat, right? There's a threat, there's a crisis, and then there's opportunity. They come together. And indeed, looking at how Asia, or in that sense China, has reacted to this COVID-19, we see that a lot of opportunities have been created. I don't remember statistics right now, but looking at the number of people, essentially tech companies, and the development of lower grassroots entrepreneurship in China this year was one of the most dynamic. And of course, there are positive reasons for that, such as there is change, there are new business models to be created, there is all these opportunities or government funding, etc., etc. But also there are negative reasons. Well, unemployment has been one, right? The fact that people don't or can't just do one job, but they also need to have a side hustle. But in essence, it's been a very good year, right? It's been a great year for manufacturing. It's been a great year for obviously technology. It's been a great year for service as well. An interesting year for education, medical, etc., etc., etc. And when it comes to surviving, I think in the West, what we're trying to do is we're trying to survive through the crisis. And in Asia, with this mindset, we are trying to thrive in crisis. And that also comes with a different set of options, right? Because psychologically, if we just put ourselves in this little box, I need to survive, I need to save, I need to conserve, you behave very differently compared to what you can do if you are trying to thrive and really expand and, you know, do something different. So in China, for the past many years, we've been talking about entrepreneurship in a form of 7 business models. Like, your business needs to have a lot of legs, a lot of business models to support yourself. And COVID-19 has been a great year from what I see, where these ecosystem, these 7 business models have actually been expanded and created. And what do I mean by business models? For instance, you can have, like myself, a digital marketing agency, and then you can have a subscription group where people, where people get insights. So these are completely different models. One is a subscription thing where you give people insights and they pay a monthly subscription. The other one is the project comes and essentially you are, serving them with tailored solutions and services, etc., etc. Another business model can be you write a book and you essentially sell the book, etc., etc. So completely unrelated business models covered by the same theme. So we've seen a lot of innovation when it comes to big companies and small companies alike, where they really moved and expanded what they stand for. At the same time, my second thought here, before I would also love to hear from all of you guys, is when it comes to creating, expanding, moving forward in entrepreneurship in times of crisis and times of uncertainty, it is extremely important to be the creator, you probably heard this concept, right? That every entrepreneur can be one of 3 types of entrepreneurs. It's entrepreneur as an artist or entrepreneur as a creator. Then you can be a manager leader. So essentially the one that does the operational stuff. So that's the other type of entrepreneur. And the third one is the one that's actually a business person. So somebody who is building connections, etc., etc. So I hope that you've heard about this concept. So the coolest entrepreneurs, the ones that are really able to build scalable businesses, they either have these 3 types of people on their senior team and they are running the whole business together, or they're able to step into all these 3 roles at a different time. And I believe that this combination of these 3 personas in one, in you as an entrepreneur, is extremely important, especially in times of change, especially in years like 2020 and years like 2021, because this year, 2021, COVID-19 is likely, we're not through with it. It's not over. Yes, vaccine is here. So as I was saying, it is extremely important to have you yourself, understand, first of all, to understand how to be a creator. When, in which situations do you need to be in your artist, in your creative entrepreneur self? When do you need to be in this, process? When do you need to be a manager leader? When do you need to be a great operational entrepreneur? And finally, when do you need to be a real business person kind of entrepreneur? So to give you a few guidelines and ways to think about it. So when it comes to artists, it's very straightforward. So somebody who is just inventing new ideas, inventing new products, inventing new niches. You constantly look at what is the need in the market? What do people need? What do I want to do? So you can have, for example, a little notebook or lists on your phone where you just write down those ideas. I was literally the other day lying in bed and I had this idea about a double-sided kind of a textile, and then you can sew dresses using this double-sided textile. And basically I had the whole elaborate plan on how to make those dresses. And then I woke up and then I went online and I figured out, wow, there are already these dresses available in the market. So it's not a very original idea, but allowing yourself to really be in this creative self frequently is extremely important for any entrepreneur. And the second one, of course, the second type of entrepreneur or personality that you need to have, and you need to go there often, is this organizer, is this manager leader. So somebody who actually, this persona within you is somebody who knows how to go from point A to point B, how to organize him or herself, how to organize a day, a plan, what are the steps that need to happen, time management, just basically strategy, etc., etc. So anything and everything that gets you from point A to point B. Somebody who does plans and paperwork and essentially is very, very operational. Some of us love this kind of job, others do not like it, but in order to move forward, each of us really need to either go into that area or have a person that brings us into that area, into that specific space frequently. And finally, entrepreneur self. So what is that? That is somebody who builds connections with people, with partners, somebody who wants to make the pie bigger, somebody who comes up with not just a plan from A to B, but a big strategic vision of how to realize the idea, right? So if the artist creates the idea, and then the entrepreneur makes money with this idea, then the manager leader, the operational guy, essentially does the work in between. So when we combine these three, and when we in equal parts, or sometimes we need to be more in the creator or more in the entrepreneur, depending on the stage of our business. Is our stage, are we still in the, is our business still in its infancy? Is our business already, at a bigger scale, etc.? We need to go into these three roles at a different time. But I believe that especially in times like COVID, in times of crisis, in times of change, in times of expansion, when we need to rethink our business models, our audience, our social media platforms, whatever we are doing day to day, we really need to be consistent with that. We cannot, and each of us has their preferred style. Each of us has our preferred persona where we are comfortable. We are either artists or we are entrepreneurs, or we are essentially manager leaders, but you need to put yourself out there into other areas and be disciplined about it. Because from what I've observed and what I've seen, and how also I've personally experienced, that this is what counts probably most, again, in times of change. So this is my very quick introduction into the topic, just to start the discussion. As mentioned, Clubhouse is all about having us talk and having us share our experiences. Maybe some of you want to talk about their specific business, how have you reinvented yourself during this COVID. I'm also happy to share, but I would really love to hear from you, your stories, your experiences, your tips, your best practices, how to do this entrepreneurship right in times of change. So if you would like to talk, if you would like to come up on stage, please raise your hand, and I would be delighted to bring you on. It's a very, very fun topic, and I'm sure that all of you have, insights to share, and that would be incredible to discuss. Looking at the hands, and so far nobody is raising it. Let me see. So far no hands are raised. So let me give you an example then. What I've done differently, right, in 2020. One example would be that we also went much more digital. And one example would be previously, let's say in 2019, I actually had quite a big business when it comes to trainings. So I actually flew around the world, and we trained people and also companies, primarily companies, on how to do, Chinese social media, how to understand, China's strategy, Chinese consumers, etc., etc. And all of these were in-person trainings. And literally, I probably spent like 3 months or 4 months a year on the road, away from, from Hong Kong, away from this part of the world. And it was fun. I loved it. But 2020, obviously no traveling. My last traveling was in January, early January, or late January was it? Yeah, late January. So that was it. And we actually had to reinvent. We had to run digital masterclasses. And at first of all, I felt that, maybe it's not going to be as good. But I figured out that digital masterclasses, you cannot run them the way you run a live masterclass, because you're not there. But you can make it an even better event by using new tools. So you cannot just take the product and put it through Zoom, and do it via Zoom. You need to use new tools. You need to make it better. You need to make it interactive. You need to use the advantages of this virtual format to make the product even better. And then it works. So that was my first discovery. You can't just record it on video, do it live, and that's going to be fun. You need to really introduce unique kind of digital tools in order to make it better. And the second one was, I also had this belief, and that was purely my, I would say, limiting belief, that through this digital product, when I don't actually fly to Germany and do it, in person, I cannot charge the same fees, because, people are, as we all say, Zoom fatigued and this and that. And maybe, people just, first of all, they want to have you physically there, and they're not going to pay the same money, and they don't want to do virtual masterclass or virtual call or whatever. And that was the second limitation in my head. And then throughout the year, I realized that it's purely in my head. So you're able to charge exactly the same fees, and yes, you're able to have same quality or even better quality events through the use of technology. So that's how one of my products, for instance, completely transformed. And right now, when it comes to masterclasses, like previously when I would, for instance, fly to Singapore and we would do this masterclass, we would have maybe 50 people, right? Right now, I run a masterclass, and there are, last time we had 112 people, and this time, the one that's coming in March, we're probably going to have around 200, maybe 250 people. So that would have been impossible, right? And in 2019, if you told me that would have been, 250 people, and you can do it virtually and you don't need to fly anywhere, I would have said no way. So you're still bringing value, it's still fun, you're making money, the product is there, people are loving it, and this is exactly how you reinvent it. At the same time, exploring new things. It just forces you, like, I've been able to actually be in Hong Kong, be at home for such a long time. And that's been so gorgeous because you're able to reconnect with the place. You're able to, for example, I enrolled in a great entrepreneurship program, which is for entrepreneurs and psychology. It's a 1-year course. I wanted to take it like forever, and it's extremely expensive to my standards, and I never wanted to really join it because I knew the time commitment is crazy. Like, you need to meet twice a week, and you need to go through this very intense weekend once a month. But this year, actually, it was possible, and I'm committed, and I'm doing it. I'm loving it, and I'm learning so much. So I think, I think that's all, kind of coming together, and that's the beauty of this COVID year. Guys, do you want to share some of your stories, some of your experiences about the mindset, about the strategy, about the products? How have you, in general, how have you been going through this COVID year? How's your business? Let's have an open discussion and see where it brings us. Do raise a hand. It's just at the bottom because some of us are new to Clubhouse, so just at the bottom of your screen there's a little hand with paper. So if you would like to raise your hand, do so, and I will be very, very happy to bring you on stage so we could chat about it. I see Olivia, I see Kathryn there, I see Rez, Alfonso, you're there, Habib, Anna, Yvonne. Hi guys. And looking forward to hear from you. Come on, raise the hand and let's have a chat. It's very interesting, guys. It's a little bit like, oh yes, I see you, Kathryn. Hello. Yay, Kathryn. How are you? Wonderful to see you.
Hi.
Wonderful to hear you. Yeah, I'm looking at your picture, so I'm saying great to see you. How have you been? How is business? Tell me, how was it in COVID year?
Business is mixed, and I think that, I really appreciate when I hear about your experience of changing or pivoting your business model to be more digital, to be more online, and to use more tools, because this is something that I think I've been looking at for some time, based on some courses that I took back in 2018. What I find though is that around me, I'm based in Austria, but around me, a lot of people are not open to that at all. Everybody's like, oh no, it's impossible to have something of value online. If you offer something online, then this is just like a second best or even a third best solution, And I think that this is one of the problems that we have generally in Europe at the moment, that people are not so fast to adapt to things, and they're maybe not so open to new possibilities and to new tools. I'm not saying that everybody is like that, but I think a lot of people are quite conservative when it comes to actually adopting new methods. Everybody takes it like, okay, we do video conferencing at the moment, but this is only because we don't have another option,
Yeah, so, totally hear you. I think obviously, everybody's different in terms of people, but I was just, maybe that was 3 weeks ago, but I was given a big keynote for a full price. Yeah, what I used to charge back when I was able to fly for a Swiss, and it was specifically for Switzerland, Swiss assembly of jewelers and watchmakers or something. I don't remember the name of them, but they were willing to pay somebody to talk about, luxury, China, consumers, etc., etc. And it was delivered online, and they loved it. And yes, it was basically, men in their 60s or 65s, and they were not very comfortable with Zoom, but they absolutely loved it. The value was delivered, etc., etc. So I think for some places in the world, it will take a bit longer, but there are definitely opportunities. How do you, in terms of your product, what do you find the most difficult? What do you find, apart from people saying, because people can say a lot of things. Who cares what they say? It's all in what can we do and how can we really act on it. If they don't see opportunities, that's their limiting beliefs. But when it comes to your products, have you digitalized them somehow? Have you changed? Have you adapted? Like what's working, what's not working? Let's chat about that.
I think from my perspective, I'm just going to stand still because otherwise I'm at the main road and you're not going to get to hear me very much. I think from my perspective, it's one of the things that I found most difficult is that I have a lot of projects which are actually to find an import partner, and they're not looking for cross-border e-commerce partners, but to find import partners in Asia for different kinds of food products. And from this perspective, this is a business model that in the past basically was depending on me being able to fly to Asia and to actually build personal relationships with potential importers and so on. And this is something that's difficult to get the clients to, or also to suddenly switch that model into a more digital model, and to build new relationships with Asia. This is something I've been struggling with, even though, I mean, I'm mostly quite active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so this is something that I still have as an ongoing problem. On the opposite side of the business, if I say forcing things forward, but like pushing business forward and gathering new leads for clients for me to give me projects, this is something that's possible online, and this is something that works quite well in a digital way, I would say.
Yeah, this is perfect. Well, I can just share my experience when, for instance, there was no possibility to venture into some space where I didn't want to, for instance, build expertise in a certain area, or for whichever reason it was not available to me right away. I would just always look for people on the ground that can do it. So one solution here could be, find people, companies in China, small companies in China that are actually doing exactly that are working with import partners. That's their business. So you can source them, those that want to export, right, food from Europe and other products, and they can work on this distribution and really form a partnership, form a collaborative, kind of relationship. Of course, it's all very relationship heavy, especially in Asia. But this is again something that might work even better, rather than yourself just focusing on Europe right now for the coming year and somebody else focusing on Asia. That's just a beautiful synergy, because believe me, I hear that also, that a lot of those that are doing import, they're saying, oh, we're actually struggling to also find new interesting products. We basically also cannot fly, and everything takes so long if we're requesting samples, this and that. So there must be synergies there as well. Absolutely, I totally see them. I see that Anna is also raising. Anna, please do join us in the chat room. I see your hand is also raised. So now the three of us are on stage. Welcome on stage, Anna. How are you?
Hey, Gay. Hi, guys. Yes, I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm glad to see you all here, and I'm really enjoying the clubhouse. Honestly speaking, I think that's something that for the future, and again, that's something new that this year brought us. So I guess it started from last year. Because, as you say, the traveling is impossible, and then we, as business owners, we have to find a way how to still grow using whatever ways possible, right? And find the new solutions how to still grow even in difficult times. So,
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And how is business?
Well, as you can say, on one side is not easy, because there's lots of obstacles that we have to face. Not traveling is number one, but it's all about how you think, how you can restructure the business, even restructure the operations. Like, for example, one of the businesses, we had to be in China. We had to look after the farmers. We have to make sure we look after the costing, the quality, and so on. And where are we? In Hong Kong. Our partner in Italy is Italy, so no one can travel. Then we had to find a solution how to find other people that we can rely, build another system of reports, and but still be able to look after the market in the way we have to. and
Yeah.
to keep up the eye on
So
the
did it
price.
work?
We're growing.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Were you able to digitalize it? And do you think it's better right now than what it was before, or is it just a quick fix? Some of the learnings, some of the things that you would like to share with us, like the best practices on how to restructure your business in times of change, and how to really maybe some mindset, maybe some strategy, like what worked for you really?
It's a mindset. I said it's a mindset,
Yeah.
not panic. Just you break down into parts that you need to solve, and you find how. And sometimes you don't ask question how, you ask who.
I love it. You
Yeah,
ask
that's
who? Kathryn, we need to ask who.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's one of my biggest discovery during this year, when I realized, okay, we have to do this, and it would be great to do that. And when you realize especially when you have not one business, well, in our case, we have 4, and then you look, okay, what can I do here? You break this down into the one business into sales, marketing, purchase, finance, and then you see what you can improve in it, and then the question is normally you ask how. But if you do how, then it's too much. Then the next question is who. And who means not either you pay someone, or you can learn from someone faster. Because if you do it yourself, it might take another God knows how much time, right?
Absolutely.
And that kind of mindset, it worked for everything actually.
I love
and
it.
You dig how you can, for example, for our food business, Kathryn was talking about food. Well, we thought, we have several restaurants as well, and we thought, okay, the strategy is try to, because our bulk orders so big now, so in order to increase the revenue, the margin and the net profit, we can start delivering from directly from the sources. How are we going to do it without traveling and actually not knowing that many producers? We digged, and we found the resources, online resources. We found that, for example, FIE in Germany, they started doing big online conferences. We started connecting there. Then we found another resource, website Stamegna, and they put you together. And it's not only for food, for anything, any business you want to sell. And that's why, because we found that, we were able to push another business for pine extracts. Because at the beginning we were thinking, okay, how are we gonna build the sales for that particular new business without going to the exhibitions? And then we used the Stagmate. Point is that this year taught us how to be more resourceful.
Yeah, resourcefulness.
How to be open to and flexible on our mind for any possible changes.
Yeah.
And how to appreciate the power of online.
Yeah.
How to learn and hear what other people say instead of digging and doing it ourselves. And how to really involve and that's
and collaborate.
And collaborate.
Yeah. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. This who can do it for me, who can do it with me, and who can teach me how to do it faster. I absolutely love it. And the mindset also, this is also my I would say big takeaway. I mean, you know, both of you, Kathryn, Anna, you both know that I have been working on my own mindset, and I believe that mindset is extremely, extremely important. And this year just proved again and again and again and again that there are no limits, and it starts truly within. I see Olivia raising hand, and Olivia, I'm bringing you on stage. You are joining us now. Super exciting. Hello. Oh, Kathryn, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add to what Anna was mentioning, because I've also been trying to implement this kind of a who strategy over the past couple of months. And I think we have to also learn to ask for help and to leverage really those relationships that we already have, and not to be afraid to reach out to people and say to them, look, I need help with this. Because most people are willing to help if they can. And the problem is just that sometimes you have to be very careful to check who is being recommended to you. because I reached out in one WeChat group and had some recommendations made, and ended up being trolled by this guy online because he told me all kinds of shit, basically.
Well, of course, always due diligence is necessary. It's been necessary in the digital age. In digital age is probably even more important. Olivia, great to have you with us here. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Phenomenal. Great to see you.
Yeah. Thanks for starting the topic. It was really great to hear from you from the beginning, talking about the shifts that you were making in your team. I would obviously love to hear more about that. I think one of the, I can just share my experience over the past year. I had started my own company about 6 months before COVID hit. So I was definitely expecting the unexpected. Can't say that I foresaw a global pandemic happening, but it is what it is. So I think a lot of maybe it wasn't necessarily, I felt it as a specific to COVID challenge, more or less as just a first year running my own business challenge. So it was kind of all lumped into one. But I was actually stuck outside of China for 9 months during 2020, and my team was in Shanghai. And one of the things that was certainly the most challenging, not only to grow our business in China from outside of China, but also to just maintain the team in Shanghai from 6 hours behind, and grow the team and hire new people without ever having met them. And I still have one team member who actually hasn't come back to Shanghai, so she's still working remotely full time. And I think it's been a challenge. I don't know, I hate to use the word challenge, but it's been interesting. I think a huge thing for us is we try to be as efficient as possible. And I hate, having meetings that have, no purpose or just kind of drag on. But at the same time, having a team that's not all there at the moment, you still have to create some sort of sense of that they're involved in the culture, that you're checking up on them. So, you do have to devote time in meetings to maybe just talking about personal life or talking about what's going on. So it's been definitely a challenge, I think, handling all that and juggling all that and just making sure that the people are actually being taken care of.
Oh, this is beautiful. First of all, huge congratulations, Olivia. We've been watching your journey and so extremely proud and excited. And this is so gorgeous that you've started your own company. I know that it's grown. How many people can say that I started a company like a year and a half ago, and right now I have a team in Shanghai, and it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would say that this challenge that you've just now identified, having people work from home and having a team not being able to sit in the same room. I think everybody globally have faced it one way or another, from big companies to small companies, from startups to to absolutely every industry. And it is pessimistic about what's going to happen if you are nervous, if you are not in touch with them, if you're not projecting that confidence and that optimistic, calculated optimism, right? If you're not projecting that, then the team gets really anxious as well. I remember when everything hit, the COVID hit Hong Kong, and we had literally cases climbing up. I mean, we've never been in the thousands, but we've had, I think our worst days were 150 people, and we've got 7.5 million citizens, or let's say population here. So everybody was really nervous. So you need to bring people together. You need to have this kind of morning, very Chinese kind of pep talk for 15 minutes. Guys, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, everything's gonna be great. If you need any help, blah blah blah. So that was very important, like projecting as a leader, projecting and showing the way, and having this optimistic and calculated optimism, rational kind of energy injected. Number two, also staying human and humane and connected on a personal level, as you've just now mentioned, Olivia. Is also, I found it extremely important. Like, for example, one of my colleagues, she did not have very good connection where she was living, internet connection, right? So then you also need to ask people of their individual circumstances. Maybe they don't have a working desk. I mean, some people in Hong Kong, in Shanghai, generally in Asia, maybe they live with their parents, and maybe there are suddenly 6 people cramped in a small apartment, and then it's not comfortable working environment, right? So you need to see what their individual circumstances are. How can you help? Can you shift the working hours? Can you provide a desk? Can you make sure that there is 5G Wi-Fi available, etc., etc.? So staying connected and making sure that you adjust to individual circumstances, for me, was a huge win. And as you said, yeah, you need to also adjust the working style. Like, usually we have the whole team meeting once a week under normal circumstances. So right now we've always had this RIME meeting, right, in the basically on Monday morning. But with COVID, we had to do it every day. So every day, 15 minutes, boo, boo, boo. That's what we are essentially after. These are our projects. That's what needs to happen. Great, let's do just 15 minutes kind of get together. And I think with fewer people, it's easier, but with more people, it really becomes a big task. And speaking with leadership team, that's what I've found very effective, is speaking with your leadership team and making sure that your leadership team then talks to their direct reports and also, projects that. But it is extremely important, and I'm glad that you've brought it up.
Thank you for that advice. That's really valuable.
Yeah. Any other ladies? Any other learnings? Any other tips that you would like to share from last year? What really helped you, or maybe what other advice would you like to hear from the community? We still have Yuri here. We have Khabib, Alfonso, Rez. We have 4 ladies speaking and basically 4 gentlemen listening. Very interesting, guys. So if you would like to share, please raise a hand. I will be very happy to bring you on stage. And we could have a more diverse and interesting conversation even. Raise hands. Ooh, we see Habib and Alfonso joining us. Okay, Habib, here you go. Hello.
Hi, Ashley. Hi. Thank you for the very interesting discussion with Kathryn, Anna, and Olivia. I'm having dinner and I'm also listening in the same time. So I'm just trying to learn how to use efficiently this Clubhouse. So me as a fresh entrepreneur, I started in late 2018, and I was growing my company in 2019, and suddenly 2020 everything stopped in February. We are doing quality control.
Yeah.
I'm not into marketing. It's a complete different field, but so I was in Morocco, where I'm from, on holidays, and everything was stopped, and all the factories were closed due to Chinese New Year, but also due to the pandemic, and we didn't see any recovery coming, because till mid-March we could not visit any factory, so all our business was completely zero. There was no orders.
Yeah.
I was really, really scared about the situation, because I was thinking, okay, I have 5 staff full-time, and we have some partners in China and some other countries, but for me, having 5 people to pay every month but without any revenue was looking very, very worried. I was really, really worried and stressed in February while in Morocco during my holidays. So I think the lesson is I really felt I had to go back to China at that time to try to find some solution and be close to my business and take care of what even I didn't know exactly what would happen, but I felt that I should be close to the
action.
operation.
Yeah.
Yes. And everyone in my family, my mom, my friends, everyone, I remember very well, everyone was advising me to just stay and wait, wait till something happened, etc. And I remember I left Morocco on March 13th, and I arrived in China, in Hong Kong, on March 14th. And at that time, we could still arrive in Hong Kong without quarantine.
Yeah.
And enter in China with like 14 days quarantine.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, Morocco closed the border. China closed the border 10 days later on March 28th. And I really, really felt at that time always follow some like instinct, sometimes as an entrepreneur, you take some decision that does not look logical.
Yeah.
Or like following other people's advice. But sometimes I think it's important to take action, even when you feel you need to take action. This is some big lesson I got in 2020.
This is cool.
We got very lucky later with the PPE and the mask, because we had a lot of orders for this field. So I felt like, okay, there was some kind of reward to take all these risks and everything. And if I had stayed in Morocco, I think maybe my company would have been bankrupt, because I'm still very involved into operation and into the service we provide to our clients. So this is a big lesson. It's like really always follow your instincts when you are doing when you are having your own company and having your own project. It's very important. Do not necessarily follow what the mainstream or what other people will tell you. Yes. So this is one of the lessons I got this year.
Yeah, Habib, this is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that it's extremely important, because usually right? Usually if you have that gut feeling, most cases it is true. And end of the day, you never know how it would have turned out if you were not there. So if you have the gut feeling, if something is pulling you into a certain direction, just follow, just go with that flow, and it will bring you to a beautiful, I always believe that whatever change, whatever decision that we make, it's for better. Because if we are not making decision, if we are going against ourselves, then at the end of the day, you can never be content about it. Then the decision, it's taken. The decision is then taken by somebody else. And I believe that any change is always a positive change, and any decision that you took is the right decision. So this is gorgeous. Thank you so much, Habib, for sharing. We have Alfonso, who also has just now risen his hand. I'm bringing you on, Alfonso. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me in the panel. One thing that I experienced this year. You know me already from some years back. I used to run the Spanish Chamber, but after that, what I do is I'm essentially a project manager for startups that want to have a physical presence in Hong Kong, and I set up teams for them. I help them in a variety of ways. What happened is when COVID struck, the uncertainty went through the roof.
Yeah.
Not just about its effects, but also how long it would last and so on. And what I realized is that for a couple of months, whatever agreements you had signed were basically useless, and you went down to the personal connection. And that's where you saw whether you and your client were looking for the best and having the best intentions, or whether you really didn't have that kind of connection. And so I think one beautiful thing is how you set aside things that you might have been entitled to or whatever, and you just get things done, and you adapt, and you remove things from the agreement to make it easier for the client, and you work together as a team, and when you see that, you really build a relationship in such a way that it can it can last, and you essentially get to know people in hard times. And I think that's one thing. In a way, the crisis forces the human element, whereas in more stable times, business, or at least the traditional image of serious business is processes and so on, and it is the ideal. But when everything goes, belly up, then it's back to the human element.
Absolutely. Wow, Alfonso, this is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm sure that all of us had those experiences. I've also had experiences where, as you said, when COVID hit, I mean, remember the first 3 months when everything here in Asia, and I would say China in particular, like it literally was on standstill. So we actually had also a couple of contracts signed, a couple of things were supposed to be moving, and then, whoa, like nothing, right? The first 3 months of the year, there was literally standstill, and there was no income, there was no movement, apart from some ongoing projects that were just happening on the back burner. But it was very, very interesting, and I love what you're saying, that it forced people to go back and connect and work together. And I think it's a great reminder, right? In general, in perfect business circumstances, we are always working together, and we are always obviously thriving for a greater good. But sometimes, especially if you're working with big organizations, contracts are important, processes are important, a lot of things get in the way. So here, this crisis, this situation forced us to really go back and think, how do we make the pie bigger? How do we co-work? How do we connect? How do we build that on top of that business on top of the relationships? And I think nowhere this is more important than in Asia, but of course other parts of the world also function in a very similar way. That's beautiful. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Alfonso, Anna, Habib, Olivia, Kathryn? Anything else that you would like to share as as your biggest lessons on this entrepreneurship journey during one of the probably biggest so far shakeups in our life, global pandemic, COVID-19? My biggest lessons were really, again, I've been preaching that same song. I think mindset is everything. Yeah, so for me that is really important. And number 2, strategy. Like you really need to revise your plan, as I mentioned at the very beginning. Revise your business models, revise how are you doing things, revise the channels that you're using. My biggest, by the way, I would say accomplishment in the months leading up to the new year, and I'm talking about Chinese New Year that is happening in a couple of weeks from now, is that I have put in a lot of work for this financial year that's coming, to create a very sophisticated strategy and rewrite everybody's job descriptions on the team. And if you guys are running a team of more than 3 people, this is so incredible. Really writing what is the person responsible for, what the expectations are, etc., etc. It might seem very simple, but it made a significant impact on how we are running things right now. So yeah, strategy and mindset, these are my 2 biggest learnings. What about you guys?
Yeah, we also redid in one of the companies, we did the whole company structure in terms of personnel, because we became quite, because especially the growing company, you need to really restructure and put a clear picture for all employees, where everyone is and what they're responsible for, what the positions in all branches, because sometimes the lack of uncertainty of where they are and where they can grow creates instability in their minds. And I believe that one of the biggest successes of the growth of the company is the staff. So we need to make sure that we need to keep staff happy.
Yeah.
And we need to foresee and preempt what they're gonna go for. If, for example, they grew from one position to another, and you feel that they want more, they probably can do more, then we just push them towards, because their growth and their extra involvement in the company only benefit us. And yeah, so I agree with that.
Absolutely. And the power of clarity as well. One thing is just pushing them forward and, as you said, keeping them happy, but most importantly also keeping them clear, making sure that the expectations are aligned, and that clarity, it's so often underestimated in the business process. And so that's my also Kathryn, I hear you.
Tons of people, I've talked to many people this year about this particular word, clarity. I mean, it was a difficult year for clarity anyways, but
yeah, well, in the year of unclarity and vagueness, and maybe clarity is something that that specifically is shaped by structure, right? You need to have structure in your head first, and you need to ask the right questions, and then you're going to get much better quality answers.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because I think that sometimes, coming back to the idea of being very formal or more intuitive kind of thing, you can be very formal by having sort of a set of guidelines that are written down, or you can have order by having a very clear objective in your mind. So I think when the world was slower, it was more important to have sort of maybe more standardized rules. But then what really becomes
Oh, and we lost you, Alfonso.
To have clarity in the mind, and because otherwise you get chaos in a team.
Yeah.
Because if you have clarity in the mind, you will be able to deal with uncertainty, because you are able to adapt what your purpose was, to adapt it to the new situation without losing that. It's like, I'm going north, and then suddenly there's a mountain range. Okay, now I need to climb, but I know I'm going north. Before I was walking, now I'm climbing, then I will be swimming, but I know where I'm going, So I think what you're mentioning is really, really important. When nobody knew what was going on, if you are able to clarify with people, maybe writing it down at the beginning, but ultimately so that it's clear in their mind, and they can autonomously continue to search for whatever it is that is their purpose in the team. I think that's very important, because one thing that I experienced personally is that I think we all here love reading a lot of books on management things. What I found myself, it's the equivalent that each book is like a martial art. And so with one you learn Kung Fu, with the other one you learn Jiu-Jitsu. When the whole thing just struck, you find yourself doing some kind of mixed martial arts. You just, when the thing is hitting you,
you just want to survive.
Exactly. And it works in the end. If you have interiorized the principles, you can mix the things in a coherent way. So I would say that during COVID, I reverted a lot to intuition, for speed, for adaptation. I think it's almost like you end up using a little bit more other parts of your brain kind of thing. It's just, for me, it was a shift in management to much more immediate, much more intuition-based.
This is gorgeous. And when you talk about this clarity, I think one more word that comes to my mind that I'm using a lot in business is outcome. What is your outcome? Not just goal, but I'm talking about outcome. What were your outcomes last week? What did you achieve, your biggest achievements? What are your outcomes for this week? What is our outcome for this year? Like, where do we want to be? And this really makes a lot of difference. Alfonso, great insights. Yeah.
Yes, actually, I completely agree with the word outcome and clarity. And I really learned something this year, which is really important for me, and which I could not apply before so well, because maybe I was not that good as managing people, or maybe I was not that confident. It's really trust. And I realized that by giving more trust, little by little, to your team, it really have amazing results. Actually, for us, it really had amazing results. Working almost like for 6 months completely remotely, we didn't meet. I didn't meet anyone besides some inspectors sometimes when we go to factory. And I realized that by maybe because I have good guys in my team and they are really trustable. But I really realized that by giving people trust, for some people like to work from 10 to 7, some people like to work from 7 to 4, some people, and without pushing them. So giving clarity in their job description, focusing on the outcome as the main thing. But with this, having a lot of trust is really important, and the results are really a very good surprise for me.
Absolutely, and amen to that. Trust is paramount. The more if you give clarity and the outcome, where to aim, and then you empower them through trust. And I am a big supporter of leading by absence in general, and making sure that your team is able to organize themselves the way that they feel comfortable, and they find the creative solutions. They are not constantly waiting on your approval. They are able to resolve situations that are coming up also through their own way. I'm a very, very big supporter of that. Absolutely, and I've seen it in my work again and again. Kathryn, you were about to say something. Sorry, I jumped in.
I was just going to kind of sit on top of what the two guys have just said, and I think this topic of clarity and what Alfonso was talking about with management, I think that this COVID crisis has really showed the difference between those people who just manage their teams and those people who are actually leaders. And this is one of those, let's say, mindset issues that a lot of companies, especially in middle management, they don't actually have people in place who are in a position to motivate their teams. They are just, let's say, ticking boxes off a to-do list. And obviously, if you're in a small company, you can't work like that.
Yeah.
You need that trust, and you need to be able to motivate your teams to bring out the best in themselves, to be the best person they can be in order to do the best for your team.
Absolutely. So this is also a time to stand up and to step up as a leader. And as a leader of a big company or a small company, I always, also say that, and I've seen it in my business, if there's a problem in your business, if something's not working, then work on yourself first. So of course, to give clarity, you must have clarity first. To give a proper, outcome or the job description or whatever, you also need to formulate it first. And very often, people are not able to even see the whole picture. And that's how managers versus leaders, there's a huge journey from A to B, and all of us consistently, it's a never-ending journey, need to work on becoming better leaders, better entrepreneurs, better artists, better manager leaders, etc. And of course, also having more trust in others, having more trust also in ourselves. I think it's a never-ending journey, and I'm so excited and thrilled that all of us are on this journey together and individually, and this is the power of it.